Users of the Mac operating system prior to Mavericks will remember that the command to use from the keyboard to move to the beginning or end of a list is tied to the Option key and the up and down arrow keys. So Option up arrow and Option down arrow will move to the beginning and end of a list respectively. I'm going to maximize my window here to show you an example. That still works in this maximized window of the mail application where I'm in my list of mail messages. Option up arrow moves me to the top of the list. Option down arrow moves me to the bottom of the list. However, if I'm not in a maximized window, in this case, I'm going to use Control Command F to move back to a restored view. And you'll notice that in the restored view, we've got the preview pane to the right of the currently selected message in our list of messages. Now, Option up arrow moves to the top of that preview pane message. Option down arrow moves to the bottom. Let me move to another message that'll make it a little more clear. Option up arrow moves to the top. Option down arrow moves to the bottom. It does not move me to another message. So how do we move to the beginning or end of a list in this situation? Well, they've changed the key command from Option up arrow and Option down arrow to Control Option up arrow. I'll tap those now to move to the beginning of a list. Control Option down arrow to move to the bottom of a list. And this works no matter where you are in the operating system. So I'm going to use Control Command F to maximize this window, and that hides my preview pane. Now I'll use Control Option up arrow and Control Option down arrow moves me to the top and bottom of the list respectively. I'm going to restore my window again with Control Command F. And folks who use the screen reader VoiceOver will now probably be wondering, how do I do that if I'm using VoiceOver? Because that command doesn't work that way in VoiceOver. Control Option up and down arrow are keyboard commands used for VoiceOver. So what can you do? Well, let's launch the VoiceOver screen reader with Command F5.
VoiceOver on mail. Spam m-dan unspark left paren 3 2 messages comma.
The message box, the message list box has focus. I'm going to use Shift Control Option down arrow to interact with that list.
Interact with messages table, row 32 of 32.
So
selected.
now I'm back to where I was when we first started this video.
5% off.
And I can use Control Option up arrow, but it's only going to move me to the next item up, or the prior item in my list. Control Option down arrow will only move me to the next item in the list. But I want to go to the top. Well, in VoiceOver they include a command, Control Option Tab, which is the Ignore Next Key Press command. It is like a pass-through key. It allows you to type any key command, one single key command, and it can be multiple keys at once, like our Control Option up arrow or our Control Option down arrow, and VoiceOver, the screen reader, will ignore that key command and pass it to the operating system. So let's see how that works. I want to move to the top of my list. I'm going to use Control Option Tab.
Ignoring next key press.
It tells me that it's ignoring the next key press. So now I'll use my Control Option up arrow,
window estimates,
and that'll move me up to the top of the list. Let me show you how that works with the down arrow. I'm going to use Control Option Tab to ignore the next key press, then I'll use Control Option down arrow to move to the bottom of the list.
Ignoring next key press. Flex-L hose over 1 2 colon.
Thank you for joining me. Please be sure to check out my other tutorial videos.